want to say that if you have been assaulted recently or something has happened that you just don't know if you'll be able to come through it, your world just feels upside down, you just feel like nothing's the same anymore, that no one understands or no one can relate, what I want to say to you is that it will get better. I personally, and from my experience, have seen that it gets better. Hi guys, it's me, Melissa Marie, and I'm so excited because I have a great video for you today. Let me just tilt this up a little. Just want to be sure I'm in the video, so hopefully that's better, or hopefully it's not worse. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I think I'm ready. If I'm not, then I won't post it. That's fine. But I feel like it's time for me to talk a little bit about something that happened to me about a year ago, a little over a year ago. It was just any other day, and just a trigger warner, this is about assault, like physical assault and robbery. So about a year ago, it was any other day. I actually was just finishing up like an intro to a YouTube video that I had been working on. My son was the camera guy that day. Normally I use my tripods and things, but he was just helping me. And I was like, you know what? I think we should get Wendy's. So I left like nothing. And before I could get to my car, I was physically assaulted, tackled to the ground, and I was robbed. I was robbed of what I had on my person. So my phone was robbed and my knapsack was robbed, like my purse that I had at the time. I woke up maybe 2 days later, a day and a half later, in the hospital with absolutely no recollection of what happened to me. I'm smiling because it's still baffling to me, because a year later, absolutely no memory of the incident at all. The last thing I remember was leaving the house, heading towards my car, about to go to Wendy's. That is all I remember. I think I remember just about before I crossed the street to where my car was parked. That's all I remember. So I woke up in the hospital annoyed. I'm like, what? I don't even think I questioned, like, why are you here? I think I was just like, my first thing was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. Can I go home? Can I go home? They're like, ma'am, do you know what happened to you? You were assaulted. You cannot go home yet. You know, we're still just making sure you're good and all this. And then, you know, I believe I went to the bathroom and I saw what was done to my face. So to backtrack a little bit, like, what happened was I've never looked at the footage because I almost don't want to know what happened. I don't want to see what happened because I don't want to trigger memories that are gonna like scare me. But my family's looked at some of the footage because my neighbors had like cameras on their houses, so they can see some of what happened. Basically somebody just kind of was like waiting for that perfect moment. I wasn't paying attention. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give just basically some of the things that I feel like why I've changed, what can change, like just little things like this. So I really wasn't paying attention, and I don't know if they approached me from the front side or back. I don't know, but I know they slammed me on the ground, and I put up a pretty good fight from what they could see on the cameras. They saw like the light of my phone just going back and forth, just me just arguing. I think it was pretty loud because my neighbors did come out. They were telling the person to stop. My son even said he felt like he heard me scream. So I think I was pretty loud. And for him to he was home. He didn't even leave the house. But I guess for him to hear that, and I was like yards away, for him to hear that scream and recognize that might be my mom's, that it could have been. And then shortly after that, he heard someone running up the stairs. And it was actually my landlord basically telling him, like, something happened to your mom, you have to come. in his mind, he was like, oh, good, my mom's coming back. Like, he thought I forgot something. So for him, he was getting like a sense of peace. Like, okay, that wasn't her screaming, but obviously it was, or we think it was. So he comes outside, and I really want to commend my son because he acted so quickly. When he called my mom, he called my boyfriend, he called everyone he knew that needed to be there, and he called someone from our church that I don't go to anymore, but it's a close member of our church who he knew that would just automatically go into prayer mode. He called, it's his friend of his, but he was like, can you put your mom on the phone? And he just called. And, you know, obviously he's distraught. You know, he's crying, but he knew he had to act. He just knew, like, you know, and I'm going to try not to get emotional in this video because I don't want the point to get lost. So I do have so basically with all that said, I was attacked. The person got away. We still don't know who did it. At this point, I'm not even pursuing that because I know that my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, is greater than this. Vengeance is his. I don't know why the person felt they needed to do this. I pray that they don't do it to anybody else. So, like, it was reported. So if they find them. But I'm not the person pursuing it at this time. I'm leaving it to the Heavenly Father, and I'm praying that this never happens to anyone else. So with all that said, they got me pretty good. You know, I got a concussion, a nasal fracture. But I looked, I don't know if am I allowed to put pictures in here of what that looked like? Because it's pretty bloody. I guess I can, I don't know. If YouTube takes it down, then I'll know. Then I could probably re-upload it without that, but I'll try to put the pictures in. And so I'll put a trigger warning before I put the pictures too, because it was just, my face looked very bloody. And, you know, they just wanted what I had. Like, I think a lot of people thought it was a domestic dispute. A lot of people thought it was personal, the way that this person was, like, attacking me. A part of me thinks maybe because they I'm a very spastic person. So because maybe the way they snuck up on me, maybe I hurt them somehow. That's the only thing I could think. Like, if they came up on me and I was just like, hey, and I, like, jumped, I may have, like, panicked and hit them. And I don't know about you, but when I get hurt, when I feel pain, I kind of, like, I get annoyed, I get mad. So maybe they were just like, ow, like, what? Like, give me your stuff. I don't know. And I can laugh about this now, or smile about this, or joke about this, but it wasn't like that before. Trust me. And that's what I'm kind of want to talk about today. So that's the background of the nature of it. They got away. Now, here's the thing. After my son came out, which was within minutes, this all took place within minutes. My son came out, he called everybody. My family doesn't live down the street. They live like 20, 30 minutes away. And, you know, you get a phone call like that. Yeah, you're going to come as quickly as you can, but you still got to get your things together and come. So I don't know if they came like 30, 45 minutes later. My boyfriend lives closer than all them, so I don't know who came first. But I would not get an ambulance. So I was still out there fighting the ambulance. And later on, I learned that I was kind of like stuck in like a fight or flight mode. And I think my body and my mind was just trying to protect me. So I just didn't trust anybody. I didn't recognize anybody. To be honest with you, the trauma that I've experienced, I think, was also a greater trauma for my family, because they never have seen me this way. They never saw me this erratic. They were just in shock. I didn't even recognize my own mother. My sister says I was just like, oh, I want my people. I need my people. Where are my people? I want to go home. I kept saying my address. Like, I want to go to blah, blah, blah street. I want to go to blah, blah, blah street. And I just didn't recognize anybody. I didn't know anybody. They finally got me in the ambulance. They finally got me to the hospital. I think they had to do something to sedate me because I was just there, like, on another thing. So when I finally woke up and, like I said, I was in a hospital, I didn't know why I was there. Didn't really question. Like, I just know I remember saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. And maybe you can't go home. So I'm there. You know, my grandma came. My boyfriend came. The two people that I remember when I first came to, because when they first told me what happened to me, no one was there. Like, you know, COVID, all that. So, like, my family couldn't really, I think it was one or two people at a time. But I remember two people. I remember my grandma, and I remember her braiding my hair. because my hair was straightened at the time. I remember her braiding it. And I remember waking up and my boyfriend was sitting here, and at this time he was studying for one of his tests. So he had his books there. He was just sitting there studying. I'm like, John, is that you? It's kind of like a movie thing. But that's really what I remember. I know my mom was there. They wouldn't let my son up. I think because at the time he wasn't 18 and they wouldn't let him up. My grandma's friends, like, cousin is like a nurse. I think she came to talk to me. It was a few people talked to me, and then like a therapist came to talk to me, and when I left, I ended up doing therapy with her for a little while, which was very helpful. So with all that said, when I came home, and I couldn't wait to come home. When I tell you I couldn't wait to come home. Oh, and I have another memory of, by this time, at this point though, once I started remembering, like once I started understanding where I was and what happened, I was back on a level. I was not still like, I had a concussion, but I wasn't out of it as I was before. So like I remember my little sister coming and taking me down to like the thingy where you MRI, something like that. She came, she was with me during that process and stuff, and she was so funny. Like she was helping me. I was like, I just want to go back. Like I'm tired of sitting here. Like my head, when I say it, my head, oh my head. My head was hurting, the worst headache ever. If you ever get a concussion, that joint hurt, bro. My nephew knows about this because we actually had a conversation, because one of the interesting things is when all this happened, I told my family, like, you know, I had a dream that we were on this like bus or this van, and I'm like, no, we have to go. We have to get out of here. I'm like trying to get to the police, and I'm like, no, we have to go. Like, this is serious. Something's going to happen. They're going to get us. And they were kind of like, that's kind of what happened. They were like, your dream, like, because the way that I picture the dream, it's not, the bus wasn't the van or whatever I was in was not an ambulance. And how it was, I know that's not exactly what happened, but they were saying like, that's reminiscent of how it was. And my nephew experienced a concussion before, and he said it was similar because he felt like he had a dream like that he was still playing football, because it has happened during football. So maybe that's, if you've ever had a concussion, maybe you can relate. I don't know. Like maybe the thing that happened right before you had like felt like it was a dream, but it was like actually with the concussion situation. I don't know. So my head was hurt. I was like, no, I want to go back. So the dude who like, you know, excuse me, the gentleman who took us down, like, I don't know where he was, but I guess he kind of liked my little sister. So I don't know, this is extra information, but you got to put a little comic relief in this type of thing. He gave her like his number. I guess he liked her. So she called him like, my sister's done and she's in pain. Can you come get us? Because obviously the person, I don't know what they're called, but they used to call them, I don't want to disrespect anybody. I don't know what it's called. I was going to say candy stripers, but I doubt that's what it is. Probably is maybe more than that. But he did have to come get us and take us back. We can't just walk through the hallways by ourselves, especially, you know, going down to that area to get the MRI or whatever. So he did come back and went back to the room. I just could tell my head hurts. Eventually I did leave. I did come home. And that's when it started. It kind of was just like, you know, thank goodness you are alive. Thank goodness it wasn't worse. Thank goodness it didn't go further than it did. And just so you know, this wasn't late at night. I want to say it was like dusk. I mean, maybe I don't know what dusk is, but it was like just about to turn like dark. It wasn't fully dark. I believe it was like around maybe 7-8 p.m. It really wasn't that late when the incident happened. So it was just really like, what? Like, how did this all happen? So when I'm coming home and I'm processing all of this, I'm like, yo, what in the world? I'm in pain. My head still hurts. My face is busted. I'll put pictures of that. I'm pretty sure those pictures you could just, they're not bloody, so they just look busted. And that was me. But to me, that was the least of it. That physical damage was nothing compared to what I was going through, like emotionally. Like, yo, I was like, my world was rocked. My world was rocked. That's the best thing I could explain. I was terrified. Everything feared me. I mean, I was afraid of everything. Everything scared me. My mother had to drive. I couldn't drive. You know, when you have a concussion, you're not really supposed to drive for a little while. My mother had to drive, and my mother stayed with me for a whole month as I recovered. She did everything for me. She helped me. She took me to my appointments. And I was just afraid of everything. To and from the car. Lock the doors, lock the doors. No, we can't get outside. Everything's ready. I really made my family like crazy. And to this day, I'm still anxiety prone, and that pressure I put upon my family and my loved ones. They can feel it. They can sense it, because I'm just like always on alert now. But I'm doing so much better. So much better. At one point, I couldn't even go out and come back during the night. It was like, girl, you better get home before it's dark out, or you know what I'm saying? You better not go. And then thank goodness, you know, my son, if I did have to come home when it was dark, I parked my car. I'm like, hey, you need to be outside while I'm parking until I get, like, it was serious. But I'm past that a little bit more. I mean, sometimes if it's late and I don't like how far I'm parked, I do have him come out still, because I do believe that safety first, last, and always. And I guess we can move on to that part of the video. I hope I'm not jumping around or skipping too much, but how I feel as though the one thing, you know, after this, a lot of people are like, oh, you need mace, you need a taser, you need that loud thingy that you pull. And I agree. I believe that all of those things give you a buffer. So you see something start to happen, and you can pull that loud alarm, or you can do something to get away, the mace, whatever. It gives you a buffer to go. But how are you going to pull that if you're not paying attention? And that was my number one learning lesson from all of this. Pay attention. I don't care where you are, what you're doing. You could have done it a million times. You could be in the safest neighborhood. Pay attention. Because if you're paying attention, people cannot creep up on you. People cannot. There's like little things that happened after this that I just started. If I felt something was weird, I didn't let it happen. There was times where, like, I kind of made like an embarrassment of myself. There were times where somebody was walking towards me and I'm walking towards them and I'm feeling off put. I start running and I'm like, hey, what you say? I'm coming. I'll be right there. Like legitimately. And y'all, like, this is funny now, but I was serious, because I always felt that when you let somebody know somebody's waiting for you, or you're being loud, I just feel like attention is drawn and maybe less will happen. Is it a guarantee? I don't know. But that's how I've been. And honestly, I feel like that's how I've always should have been. One thing I used to do had no fear. You can tell my family, come home 4 o'clock. If I'm down by my mom, she's like, just stay the night. I'm like, nah, I got to go to my bed. 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm coming home to my house because I want to be in my bed. Honey, your bed is not worth that risk sometimes. And these are the things I've learned. I used to be like, oh, it's going to run down over here. My boyfriend's like, you're not going anywhere at 11 o'clock at night. That doesn't make sense. You could wait. Or we can go together. Like, that's just unnecessary. And I just had like this, I'm not saying to live a life of fear, but I had this very, what they say, bliss. What is it? Ignorance is bliss. Just very blissful, ignorant. Things can happen, and it's good to be careful. So, with all that said, as I'm dealing with everything, I couldn't explain to people what I was going through or how I felt. And I have a couple of videos that I am going to put in here, maybe now, at this point, because they do explain a little bit. At the time, I was doing little videos at a time to explain how I felt during the healing process, and how we need to be gentle with ourselves and other people who are healing, because we have no idea what these people are dealing with. Even when my wounds, they healed so quickly. And all I could think was, I'm healing and I look better, but I don't feel better. And I was afraid that people wouldn't understand that. So I'm going to put these in and I'll come back. Hey guys. This is my first time back in front of camera since what happened to me. I am not 100% sure this video will make it up anywhere, but I am making it because even for myself, just to have this moment, you know, I look so much better, you know, so much better. This is nothing. This is nothing. My nose is slightly fractured, but you can't even tell. And the emotional, the trauma is so much deeper than anything physical that happened to me anyway. But my goal is to really just get better, to get more confident, to heal inside and out, mentally, emotionally, and just get better. I'm going through many things. I'm not gonna list everything here right now, but just going through a lot. For everyone who's ever been through anything, any type of violent crime, or just anything emotionally in general, I won't even limit it. Anyone who survived anything, you guys are awesome. You guys are powerful. You guys rock. I don't even put myself in a category with anyone because I'm fumbling the ball right now, but that's okay. It's to be expected. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna be well. Everyone who has just sent their regards to me, sent me things that just have blessed me in so many ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't even know, but thank you. And yeah, I just have to just take a moment and just acknowledge life, because it's so easy to get caught up in the bad things, but there's so many people who have gone through so many things way worse than this, way worse. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like that, but all is well, and we're gonna keep moving forward. So it is another day. It's a new day. I'm just trying to do like little video snippets for myself. There's my cat. I feel bad, but I don't want her to come outside because I'm so high and I'm worried. Like, I'm so high up on the roof, and I worry that she'll fall. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm just taking these little videos so that I can kind of see where I am mentally throughout this whole process, because honestly, healing and recovering, not only physically but emotionally, internally, spiritually, it's not easy. But I can say that I've made a decision, and sometimes that's where it starts, that I cannot allow myself to relive, I don't know, is it the fear or the concern, or just relive that same state every day. I can't allow myself to be robbed again and again and again from being me, from being confident, and overall just a happy person. So that's really all I think I'm gonna to say today. Made my coffee, my instant coffee, and I'm just going to try to keep on keeping on. And if anything, you know, life is more beautiful and more important. And I mean, it was always important, but more valuable, I guess, because once you realize the value of life, and how quickly things can change. You realize how out of control you really are. That's a very scary thing to learn, but it's also a very, I guess, important lesson in life. I mean, I think I've already known that, but it's just been reiterated to the 10th degree. So I'll continue to have these like minor issues from the concussion for a while. So even right now, like I'm seeing spots out of the side, but I can't help that. It's gonna be for a while. I'm just gonna continue to have some of these concussion impacts, but I know I am alive. I am well, and I'm gonna keep pushing forward. Like I mentioned briefly before, I do have a nasal fracture that's gonna take time to heal. The scars that I have now are not scars because they are gonna go away, but they're gonna linger for a while. But this is nothing compared to what I looked like when I first woke up and looked in the mirror, because I had no idea what had happened to me. So to wake up and see my face, yeah, and Whew. Anyway, we're gonna stop here for today. I just wanted to say one more thing, and because it just came to me, is we really cannot judge how someone heals. We cannot judge the time it takes them to heal, the way that they are healing, and what their healing looks like for them, because someone can go through the exact same scenario, the exact same thing can happen to two people, two tragedies, and two people are going to respond, react, and heal in very different ways. So we have to be sensitive towards how people heal, because it's easy to say, well, I went through that and this is what I did and it worked for me. I mean, it's good to offer what helps someone, but don't judge if that thing that worked for you doesn't work as well for them. We're all so different. I don't know why that just came to me, but I just wanted to say that because we all hurt differently, we all heal differently. And a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, especially when we were growing up as kids, she's now a physician, but she did a TED Talk in Ghana, and she spoke about how one of the things that links all people, no matter like what race, what culture, what socioeconomic status you have, is pain. Pain is a link that we all have. Even the richest of people go through pain. Sometimes all the money in the world cannot fix or heal the pain that they're experiencing, but we all go through pain, and we all kind of look for some type of recovery from the pain. And my friend who did the TED Talk, I mean, I'll hopefully link it below because it is worth watching. She's an anesthesiologist, so rightfully so, she knows a lot about pain and how to control the levels, I guess, that one would feel, and forgive me if I'm using incorrect terms and things like that, but it's just, it's just from what I took from it. I'm actually going to watch it again because I haven't watched it in a while, but it just, we all go through things in our own way. We all experience pain at some point in life, and if you've never experienced pain, is that a thing? Can someone never experience pain? I don't know. I'm not going to go down that, but we've all experienced some type of hurt or pain, I believe, and we all look to get out of that state of being in that hurt or pain. It's not a good, healthy feeling. I just think as humans, and even just as living creatures, because even I can say my cat, if my cat's in pain, my cat is going to look for a way to alleviate the pain. It's just something that we just naturally look to do, but if we do, my point was, we all have different ways of doing that. my glasses off. So here I am. I'm alive. Doing well. I'm not 100% in terms of physically healing. I still have the remnants of the concussion. Out of this eye, I can still see those floaters. The doctors say that's normal, so I'm gonna expect to see that for a while. If I see it for, I don't know how long to expect. I think they said up to 3 months. But I think I'm gonna touch bases with my eye doctor too, because I'm a little concerned about that. But other than that, I'm blessed. I can see visually perfectly, other than the fact, I spilled my coffee. Other than the fact that I do use my glasses, but I've been using glasses since I think 4th grade, so that ain't nothing to me. Haven't been able to try my contacts yet. I think I'm gonna try this week though. And I feel okay. I mean, I'm still facing the fears, challenging myself to go out, doing things that I used to always do, trying to be that bubbly, great person, if I say so myself. But you see, already, like that's good. Those little weird quirks, that's really who I am. So I hope I continue to be able to process that and to do that, because that was my concern, that I was going to get so shut off and stifled. But I'm just more heightened, more aware. And physically speaking, the sleeping's still a little rough, but it's nothing to complain about. So I'm going to keep pushing, keep going. Alyssa, you are strong, you are powerful, you are mighty, you have the Holy Spirit. Do not quit. Keep going, keep pushing, never stop. Stand up, stand tall. And that's it for now. Okay, so I haven't made a video in a while about how I've been feeling. I know I made a few in the beginning when I was recovering, and honestly, I don't even know when recovery stops, But I think what I wasn't prepared for was that, your focus is mainly on recovering from that one trauma, but then life happens and you have additional stress that you've always had, or you even have more stress. And it's such a hard time for me. Like, I don't want to sit here because I know that I don't want to sit here and complain because I know that my life is good and I have problems that are not life-threatening. In the sense that I would die from something, they do impact my life every day. And I know mental stress, all that stress is just not healthy. So it is life impacting in a sense, but it's not like I'm going to die tomorrow or something. And I just really wanted to just release. I just wanted to say something. I just wanted to just document how I feel right now, because recovery is crazy. Like, the way that I'm thinking, feeling, acting, living, being, it's so different. And I just feel like I've stressed my family out. I just feel like I don't want to, and I know that they don't care. I know that they'll listen to anything I say. And it's not always about the specific trauma of the incident that occurred to me. It's just everything in my life. It's a lot. And I really don't want to complain because it could be worse. But I'm just sitting here, just the way that I view life and thinking about things, and just everything is so overwhelming. I almost feel like my way of thinking has shifted. And I don't know if it's because something happened to me that I never thought would happen. So now my life is my mind is on high alert, but now you have to just, not plot, but now you have to think and put a checklist to every possible scenario in the world, because you didn't account for this one scenario that happened specifically to you when it happened, and look at what it's caused. And I don't know if that's what it is. I do go to therapy, and my therapist, she knows some of the extra issues I'm going through. And one of the things she said, sometimes you're going to make certain decisions, and be gentle with yourself. Be kind. In other words, be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself, And that's really what I'm trying to do, because I am stressed and I'm struggling, but I'm keeping busy. I'm staying positive. I'm kind of confused about some things. Like, I just don't get it. I don't. And I don't know. I'm just going to hope and pray it gets better. And I know it will. Honestly, like, that's the weird part too. Like, I know that there will come to a point where that I'm going to be just fine and I'm going to be good and everything's going to be okay. But, like, it's just this weird feeling. And I just know, and honestly, what has happened is that I know for a fact that other people who are going through trauma probably can relate to what I'm talking about. I'm not going through trauma. I'm recovering from a traumatic event. So it's two different things, I guess. But I know they probably can relate. And it's just interesting because, everyone has their own specific and unique journey when something happens to them and they're working on getting better and back to what maybe their homeostasis or their, just their norm was. And maybe I'll never get back to what my norm was. And maybe my norm wasn't even that great. So maybe right now what I'm going through is going to put me in a better place, which is good. But it's just so weird. It's just so weird. And now I just have a new level of respect for people who have gone through things and are living through them and are growing and just expanding in life and just are strong and beautiful, because it is not easy. And I have so much respect for those people who are taking these things that happen to them and just pushing through and going, because, man, whew, it's not easy. All right, that's all I'm going to say for now. I am blessed, and I will say that I'm absolutely blessed, and I don't want to be ungrateful, because I am blessed. I'm blessed. And maybe like right this moment I'm going through something, but it's not going to be all the time, and I know that for a fact. So I'm blessed for what I have and the blessings I have, and I really don't want to get in trouble with the Heavenly Father, because I'm blessed, and I know it could be so much worse. But this release in itself just helped. Even if I never do anything with this video, just talking about it just helped me for a second, and I'm grateful for that. In Yeshua's name, thank you, Yahweh. Amen. Hey guys, it's been a while since I came out here and had a little sit down, and I just like coming out here. Just feel free. No one's listening to me, whatever it is. But I just want to say that a lot has, I think, improved. I think time has helped. I think the emotions have helped me forcing myself to drive again alone, because at first I did not want to go anywhere alone. So me getting behind the wheel, just keeping, all precautions, but me driving by myself. The nighttime is still very triggering for me, so I just try to be sure that I'm prepared in my mind, I would say, is the best way I can put it, because the fear does not subside, but I'm still going through the motions because I have to. I felt like for a while I had my son on hostage, just needing him always to be there every single time. And there are times where I still need him to come walk me from the car to the house. So there's just a lot of things that have changed in my life, and the freedom and the confidence that I used to have, I don't have it the same way, but it's not where it was before. I was in like panic mode majority of the time, and I feel like I'm a little better. A few little scary things happened here and there, things that I feel like in the past would not have impacted me, just like weird things. Like maybe it's people in their not right minds doing little gestures and actions, and before I would probably just laugh, but now it's just kind of like, I don't know what these people are capable of. And I'm not judging someone. What I'm saying is my perception has changed, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are harmless, but once you get attacked, you realize that you do not know what anyone is capable of, and you have your guard up. And, it's sad to say, but that's just how I am. I'm trying not to project my concerns on anyone else. But anyway, I just wanted to give a brief update because I didn't do that in a while. And honestly, me having these little snippets are good for me to see my own growth, because it's been challenging. I continue to do therapy. I try not, I do talk to my family about it, but I know it's not something that people want to relive. I mean, they went through a lot of trauma too, because I could not remember who they were.
at the scene of the incident. Well, like the aftermath of the incident before the ambulance came. I couldn't remember who anyone was. I was just going through a fight or flight traumatic experience and didn't recognize my own mom, you know, so a lot was going on. But anyway, with all of that said, I do feel better. I feel a little bit more confident. I feel a little bit more hopeful. I feel grateful for my life, for my family, and I just really want and hope that, you know, my future will be okay. I have concerns about the future in general, you know, like where I'm gonna live, like, because I do want to move, like where I'm gonna live and how am I gonna feel like adjusting in a new space, and just in general, I have some concerns, but that's neither here nor there right now because I'm just trying to live okay at this moment. And at this moment, I do feel better. I feel okay, and I feel like whatever it is, I can figure it out and I can get through it with prayer. I just pray as much as I can, and I do believe, I really do believe, you know, that everything happens. Not everything, like I don't think everyone has to do something bad for a reason, but if this did happen to me, because it does rain on the just and the unjust, like things happen to everybody no matter what. If this did happen to me, I can get through it. And you know, me just even making these little memos, if I do ever share them one day, that it will help someone who also needs that support and understanding. Because I'm telling you, in the beginning it was dark. In the beginning I did not understand what my next few months were going to look like. I just thought, you know, I was like depressed. I'm not gonna lie, a couple of times I did almost feel like it would have been better to have died, maybe, even though I quickly reneged those thoughts because I would never, you know, want my family to suffer that tragedy, you know, my son especially. But you just feel so like everything's taken from you and you don't know where to start or go. And it could seem to some people like you're alive, you're okay, you're what you like, your physical experience, like you're already healed, you look well, but inside you don't feel the same, you don't feel confident, your world has been truly shaken. And I always say, like, I know it could be worse, I know it could be worse, and I know other people are experiencing way worse than this, so I do not, you know, think my problem is like whatever, but it is something I'm dealing with. And I just want other people to know that no matter how large or small your problem is, if you're dealing with something, it's okay to say, like, I'm going through this, and it doesn't invalidate, you know, what you're experiencing. So I just wanted to say that, and that's all for
now. Okay, so just so you know, I did put the videos in, but those videos were months and months and months, probably close to a year ago. So I don't remember all of the things that I mentioned in them. So I'm probably not going to touch much on what I said, but I said what I said. Just kidding. But what I do want to touch on, and I did touch on this, my last video of 2021, I touched on this. My friend Kelly gave me this book. It says, always remember, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. This one, I'm covering the date because this is circa a year ago. I don't want anyone to figure out who it was. Like, I need some anonymity, if that's the right word. I don't want anybody to know the exact date. I don't want people trying to put things together. I just want to move on with my life. You know what I mean? So I don't want nobody to figure that out. But it says, you were given this life because you are strong enough to live it. And then in it, you write down, never give up, it says. Then the next day says, think positive. Then the next day says, have dreams and dream big. Dream without fear. Make it happen. And although these are like little entries, and I didn't do the whole book, but at the time when I needed to express myself, when I didn't know how to express myself, and also when I just didn't want to be a burden to people, even though I know my family would never think that. But you think you think differently after something like this. I'm gonna read some of it just to just take it back to that moment and how I felt. So it says, today I woke up with only a minor headache. Thank you, Yah, my Heavenly Father. I woke up around 6:30, 6:45 a.m., an improvement from the prior 2:17 markers in which I toss and turn, fight to go back to sleep. I did still try to go back to sleep. I rested maybe 10 to 12 more minutes. But these days, once I'm up, I'm up. So I got up and made some coffee and decided I would start writing today. My friends from work delivered the most thoughtful care package, a part of which included this notebook and a pen set. The cover says it all, which was this. This was the cover. And I tear up every time I read those words. Always remember you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. When something like this unnecessary violent assault happens to you at a time when you least expect it, not due to anything you've initiated, not an act of retaliation, it's scary. It's a reminder of how scary this world is. However, I'm choosing not to dwell on that. Rather, to dwell on the message of this book. Braver, stronger, smarter. I'm alive. I've regained my consciousness and main remembrances. I will keep going forward. So I'm not going to read everything else, but I wrote a lot. I remember, I'm going to read one like a little bit further down, but I remember the sleep, like, it's so funny because I don't have that problem anymore. And so sometimes it's kind of like childbirth. I had a pretty bad childbirth experience, but it was it was 18 years ago. I don't remember the exact pain. I know that junk was painful. I had to get induced. Well, my water broke naturally. This is such a sidebar. I'm so sorry. My water broke naturally, went to the hospital, but labor wasn't progressing, so I had to get induced. And when they give you that Pitocin, I think it's called, your contractions go from like basically like nothing's happening to like 10 real or 100, whatever, real quick. I felt like inside of me was cracking, like my hips were like, it was the worst pain ever. And then I finally did get an epidural, which I planned on doing. But I don't know what happened to my epidural, but when it came time to push, I'm telling you, when I say I felt everything, I felt everything. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but I felt it. And whatever, my son's 18 years old now. I made it through. And I would have more children. I want more children. So, it's kind of like that. At the time of this, when I was waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I said my headache's only slight today, when I was having those headaches every day, man, and mind you, this entry is about maybe 10 days or so, a week and a half or so after the event. So I already had constant nights where I just wasn't sleeping right. I couldn't work. I was out of work for a little minute. And my head and just everything was like, dang, like people take sleep for granted. It was hard. And when you wake up and you feel restless and you don't feel like yourself and you can't do the normal things you did, your whole life is just switched. And again, this is not, people get, what do you call it? Permanent assault. Permanent injury from their assaults. People physically don't look the same ever again after some really bad situations like this. People are assaulted in other ways, if you get what I'm trying to say. So this was, I guess, mild. I'm not saying it was crazy, but what I'm saying is you don't know everyone's recovery story, recovery process. I don't care if the person didn't hurt me and just robbed me and I remembered everything. That could have still been an indelible situation that I didn't know how to move forward from. So these are things to really consider when someone goes through something. You cannot judge how they are recovering, and you cannot judge how they feel and how and how the impact of what happened to them, how it did for them. We are all different. My sister and I have been speaking about this. Our childhoods, we had the same parents, the same grandparents. We went to the same schools, most of it, but we're 6 years apart and our experiences were different. So that's life sometimes. She's a different person than I am. I am a different person than she is. Things that she experienced, she took it differently. Things I experienced, I took differently. And that's life, no matter what. I'm gonna read. Okay, I'll read this little part here. Oh, you know what? I'll read a little bit. So I'm just gonna, instead of reading the whole entry, I just read a piece of it. So apparently this is the same day. I kept making entries throughout the day. Last little entry for today. My frustrations and impatience. Having to re-explain myself, not feeling understood. Having a hard time going through the process with healing and knowing when I'm healed, along with short-term disability. Having no recollection of the assault or who did this to me. Knowing when would ever be a good time to review the neighbor's cameras recordings of the assault. A year later, still never did. Never, and I don't want to. I can't explain the overwhelming feelings. I'm grateful for therapy on Monday. I just need to uncover more. I'm happy I'm alive. I'm grateful for speedy healing. And yes, there's some guilt also. I can't explain the guilt. I know I didn't deserve it. But because I don't know the full encounter from my own personal recounting, it's strange. I also know I was distracted by my phone, which makes me question, could this have been prevented if I was more alert? Anyways, enough question. Time to make things happen. And then the last little thing I'll read is from like a good month, maybe about a month into it. So I start work today. Again. Wait, what? So today I start to work again. It will be a gradual return, but it's still a little strange overall. I feel that I will be capable. I believe for my mental health, it's best for me to go back to my life and even become more focused than I've ever been. So thank you, Yahweh, for bringing me to this point and strengthening me. I'm grateful to be alive, sound mind, and well enough to do my job. And that was the last entry. So once I went back to work, that was it. And for me, going back to work was healthy. When the doctor told me you should go back to work, I didn't want to. Before I went to the hospital, I was like, I don't want to go back to work. I don't think I'm ready. And my mom was with me, and she tried to stand up for me. Like, I don't know if she's ready for that. She's very agitated. I don't know if she can deal with, well, I work in customer service. So she's like, I don't know if she can deal with people right now. And the doctor said, well, she has to try. She has to see what she can tolerate. So I went back to work. Gradually, like I said, I think I started with half days or something. And it was okay. I did it. Before going back to work, one of the other liberating things for me was driving. When my doctor cleared me to drive, because I forget how many weeks they said, but when they cleared me to drive, I said, I am going to go down the street. It was broad daylight. So I'm going to go by myself and I'm going to come back. And my mom said, all right. That was one of the most liberating starts to my recovery as well. It felt good again I'm a very independent person. So to depend on your mom or lifts, and even that, I say lifts, but it was like a medical lift that they used to take me to my, it's called my therapy. My therapy with my counselor, I took that, and it's still scary. You don't want to be in a car with a stranger. Like, after something happens to you, you just feel kind of like vulnerable. Like, I can't trust anyone, nobody, because you just don't know who walking down the street gonna do something. And you can't live a life in fear anymore, but that's just how it felt. I'm getting better. There were like little instances months and months and months in where I was in a store and like I feeling like people are following me. Like, I know this sounds weird. I'm like, I feel like people are following me, and I'm like, no, they're not following you. They are in the store shopping like you're shopping. There were just little weird things that kept happening, freaking me out. But I had therapy for a good minute, and at first I thought I had PTSD, but because it's a very loosely thrown around term, but my therapist said you don't have PTSD, but you do have acute trauma. I forget what she said. Acute trauma or something like that. Something that was like basically you're still dealing with the remnants of trauma. So, which made sense. But yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of things on my own since then. I traveled on my own since then. I've done a lot. So I'm more focused, and that's one of the biggest learning things for me was to make sure that I am always alert. So I'm not on my phone when I'm outside. My keys are ready. As soon as I get in my car, I'll lock the door. Because a lot of times when I park my car, I relock it. Because a lot of times when you get in your car, you click lock on the door. That's pretty easy. But when you turn off your car, my car, and I don't got no new car, my car old. But when you turn it off, the doors automatically unlock. If I'm not getting out the car at that exact moment, I'm locking my doors back until I gather my things. I don't want any vulnerable moment. And obviously I cannot be 100%, but I'm going to be as best as I can. And so that's what I've been doing. And I'm just very grateful to be alive. I'm very grateful that, that it wasn't worse or that I didn't die. And then like I mentioned briefly before, in the beginning, there was times where I did kind of like, would it have been better? I questioned, would it have been better if I died? And that question came from just not having peace anymore, just not having what was familiar, what mattered. All these things were just gone. It was very, and when I say what familiar, what mattered, me, the parts of me that were gone. I still don't think I'm the same person, but I feel like I've come to terms with the person who I am is better. Because when you go through something, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think to a certain degree that is true. Because I do feel stronger. I do feel better. Life is looked at differently. Things that used to matter don't. Things that were overlooked matter now. Very grateful every day I wake up. Very grateful for a good night's rest. Very grateful for my family. Very grateful to make it to and from my car. Come on, these are things that you just, I'm going to go to my car. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to run here. I'm going to run there. Very grateful for all of that. And basically, I just, I realized that my Heavenly Father, Yahweh got me, Christ Yahshua. Thank you so much. That's it. That's really all I think that I have. I just wanted to recap everything. I'm so much more confident now. I thought my confidence would never come back. There's some things that I still do very strange. Sometimes I'm concerned about what I wear. Now, just so you know, what I was wearing when I went that night, I actually still have the shirt. Is it okay to show the shirt? I'm scared. They had to cut it off me when I got into I don't know if they did it in the hospital or in the ambulance, but it was just a regular t-shirt. I'm not going to get it. I still have it though. And they only cut it off me because I think I don't know if it's because I was like fighting too much or if because they weren't sure like if I was like had any other injuries. I'm not really sure. And I think I had like sweatpants on or leggings. So, and it wasn't like I didn't look crazy, but I remember when I had to go back out into the world and go to the hospital to my appointments and my follow-ups, I just remember saying, I want to be invisible. I want to put on clothes that make me feel invisible. I don't want to stand out. I don't want nobody saying, what she got? What about her? I just wanted to be invisible because I did not want to be on anybody's radar. And so that's a good idea. We can rob her. Or I stopped wearing pocketbooks for a long time. Till one day I spoke to my therapist about it. She was like, man, she said, people get targeted when they don't even have a purse. She's like, that's not going to make or break the situation. She's like, do what makes you feel comfortable. But by this time, this was a different therapist, by the way. I had switched over, but she was like, do what makes you feel comfortable, but understand that it's not really you. She's like, you can be careful. You can do the best you can, but it's not really you. that caused this, and changing, not wearing a purse is not gonna, she's like, you still can be attacked with or without a purse, and that's the truth about it. And it's a hard truth, but it's the truth. So I'm like, I'm making my life harder. So I wear my purse now. But for a minute, I just was like, whatever can fit my pockets, that's what it is. I'm gonna wear sweatpants, and the colors matter too. I didn't want to wear, I have a red sweatshirt. Nope. One of my favorite sweatshirts. Nope, not wearing that. We gonna wear dull colors. We gonna not stick out. For a long time, that was the situation, and now I feel more confident about it. I still kind of try not to stick out, but if I'm going somewhere and I want to look a certain way or I want to look nice, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna be highly alert. Sometimes I think about the shoes I'm gonna wear, like, can I run? But overall, I've come to the terms, like, do what you need to do, Melissa, but do what you need to do. Like do what makes you feel comfortable and safe, but at the same time, do the things in life that you need to do. Live your life. So I probably feel like I missed certain things I wanted to touch on, but I do want to say that if you have been assaulted recently or something has happened that you just don't know if you'll be able to come through it, your world just feels upside down, you just feel like nothing's the same anymore, that no one understands or no one can relate, what I want to say to you is that it will get better. I personally, and from my experience, have seen that it gets better. You will be jumpy. You will have remnants because you probably are changed. You're probably new, but you'll learn how to make it. It's your new normal. It's your new life. It's the new, and you'll get through it. Thank goodness you made it. You're that much stronger. You're alive. You're well, and it will get better. And I pray right now with you that whatever you're feeling, whatever you need, you're receiving right now. You're healing right now, and you're receiving that blessing and that newness and that fullness and that hope that it will get better, because it does. And it's so hard to explain what it is, because it's like you can't really say, you're like, I wake up every day, I don't really know what happened, I'm still here, life is still going on, but there's something like just weird going on inside, and I can relate to that. And it does get better, and it gets more and more normal every day, and you start to feel better, you start to dance again, you start to sing again, and it will get better. So I pray that. And for the people who are around the people who are recovering, just showing your love and support is good. Some people want less communication than others. Like, some people are like, I don't want to talk about it, please just leave me alone. They don't want the attention, they don't want any of that. That's understandable. Give the person the space and let them come to you, but let them know you're open. I'm here if you need me. I remember, like, sometimes my friends would be like, hey, just sending you a virtual hug. Like, sometimes just sending a brief something that doesn't require a response is enough presence for that person. And I experienced that also when my dad died. Like, a lot of times you didn't really want to talk about, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad, da-da-da. But when somebody just said, like, I know what you're going through, prayers up. Like, sometimes just that alone, no response warranted, is helpful. And this felt like kind of like the same thing. But that's really it. I wanted to share that. I do want to say that I mentioned it earlier. The biggest thing for me, I feel like it was if I would have been paying attention. I feel like that's the biggest change. If I could have done anything differently, is paying attention, being aware of your surroundings. I don't care if you're in a group. I don't care if whatever. Be aware, be alert, know what's going on around you. Okay? Stay focused. There will be time when you're safe in your home or wherever that you can relax and not be all hyper vigilant. You don't want to make it too crazy. Like, you don't want to be like, what's going on? But you do want to stay focused. I mean, there was time where I was running to my car, running to my house, running here, running, because I'm just like, if I'm a moving target, no one can get me. It's harder to shoot something that's moving, right? And I wasn't shot by any means. I don't even think a weapon was used. But I felt that way. Then my therapist was like, you might be standing out more if you're running, right? Because who's running? When someone's running, you're looking like, where they running? Where they going? Like, people are looking more. They're paying more attention. I was like, okay, let me just walk with purpose, a lot of things that you'll trial and error and you'll figure it out. Therapy did help me. I'm very grateful for that. Prayer helped me. I know the Heavenly Father did this. I like when I say did this, I mean like I know He healed me. But yeah, prayers to anyone going through it, to anyone who has family members going through it, and much respect to the people who have been through worse trauma than me and are living, are standing, are fighting. Ooh, I have so much respect for people who got back to normal life after some of the worst traumas of their life, because like I said, I know I'm not near that level. Wow. But that's it for today's video. Not the best topic, but I felt like this can help someone, and I appreciate you tuning in as watching as always. Hopefully we feel a little closer. Kind of feels good, like letting it out. Yeah. I think that's I'm gonna end it here. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.